Hi, I'm Graham Price. I'm a psychologist, coach, and development trainer. This is a 15-minute talk primarily about psychology directed mainly to coaches. The world of psychology has expanded quite dramatically over the last 20 years, particularly talking about the field of psychology called psychotherapy. If you go back about 50 years, psychotherapy was dominated by psychoanalytical and psychodynamic techniques, the Freudian stuff and so on, looking at childhood and looking at how problems might have emerged in childhood and then how to resolve them now. And then that moved forward and cognitive therapy arose in the 1960s, and that was all about changing the way people think in order to change their ways of feeling and behaving. And then behavioral therapy was combined with cognitive therapy. Behavioral therapy had already existed, combined with cognitive therapy to create cognitive behavioral therapy, which I'm sure you've heard of, and that's dominated the world of therapy for many subsequent years. And then in the last 20 years, the concept of acceptance has come into the world of therapy quite dramatically. Lots of different acceptance techniques have been combined with cognitive behavioral therapy to strengthen therapy quite dramatically, and now it's highly effective compared with what it was 30, 40 or 50 years ago. In the modern therapy then, what is it that dominates mainly? Do you think it's cognitive techniques where we try and change the way people think, or is it behavioral techniques where we try to change the way people behave? It's been a mixture of both, but now increasingly experienced and very capable psychologists or psychotherapists are moving more and more to focusing on behavior as the way of resolving mind-based problems. After all, we've realized that mind-based problems are generated primarily by the ways in which people have been behaving. Sure, events in people's lives might have triggered mind-based problems, childhood issues even, or situations right now in their lives might be generating mind-based problems. But more and more we've realized that it's the way they've been behaving following those triggers that have created their mind-based problems. Let me tell you that every time that people behave in a way that their feelings or thoughts are telling them to behave, they always reinforce the unconscious beliefs that are driving those feelings or thoughts. That is universally true. If somebody's anxious and they avoid things that are making them anxious, they will reinforce the unconscious beliefs that are driving their anxiety. If somebody's depressed and they behave in ways that depressed people behave, like withdrawing or isolating, they will reinforce the unconscious beliefs that are driving their depression, and so on for other things like cravings or anger problems or addictions or whatever. It is the behavior that has created their current mind-based problem. And if that's so, then not surprisingly, it's behavior that we focus on in order to cure, in order to unwind the unconscious beliefs that are driving their feelings, thoughts, and behavior that reflect their current mind-based problem. So in the anxiety case that I described, clearly, and you probably already know this, if somebody's got a phobia, for instance, like a dog phobia, and they've been avoiding dogs and therefore reinforcing the beliefs that are driving their phobia, then what they need to do is stop avoiding dogs and start walking past dogs, and even stop and pat the dogs, and if they want to cure themselves quickly, go and buy a dog, and that will cure their phobia very quickly. And so it is with all the other examples I gave you. We need to get people to stop behaving in ways that have been driven by their feelings and thoughts and beliefs, and start behaving in opposite ways, and thereby unwind the unconscious beliefs that are driving their problem. And that is hugely effective, and in fact it's what most therapists now are doing all the time, is to focus on changing people's behavior. But there's a problem. That when you get people to behave in ways that they've been avoiding or been not doing up till now, that's going to generate uncomfortable feelings. So if I get my dog phobia subject to walk past the dog, his anxiety is going to soar. So what do I need to do to help him with that? I need to train him to deal with that anxiety through acceptance techniques, which is just one example of how acceptance techniques have changed the world of therapy in the last 20 years. I don't have time to tell you what techniques I use to deal with these feelings that will be generated when people change their behavior, but come along to a free webinar that I offer. I'm happy to give it away. It's a lot longer than this talk. It's about an hour and a half, but I'll teach you a lot about psychology and including how we get people to deal with uncomfortable feelings that are currently driving their negative behavior and will arise when we change to positive behavior. Those feelings will rise, and we need to know how to help our clients deal with them. In fact, you need to know these techniques because there's no reason at all why you, in your coaching, can't use these simple techniques to deal with very common mind-based problems. And you can learn them very quickly, and I encourage you to come along to that free 1.5-hour webinar. Now, if we're saying that by changing people's behavior we can unwind the unconscious beliefs that are driving their mind-based problems, then it follows, does it not, that if we're helping people as coaches to expand their mindset, to develop their mindset, to make them more confident, more powerful, more achieving, then once again we need to develop a powerful mindset, which, by the way, I'm sure you know is the key driver to success, is one's mindset. Then we need to find ways of developing people's mindset, and as in the world of psychology, by far the most powerful way to do that is to change their behavior. So yes, we can do cognitive work, we can try and change the way they think to make their mindset more powerful. We can use self-talk things like affirmations and visualizations, and do they help? Yes, they do, but they are nothing like as powerful as changing behavior and allowing the feedback from that behavior to the unconscious to develop a more powerful mindset. But when we get people to behave in more powerful ways than come naturally to them, in more powerful ways than they've been doing in order to develop a more powerful mindset, then feelings are likely to arise. So if we get people to behave in ways beyond their comfort zone, then they're likely to get anxious or fearful, and we need to know how to help them deal with those feelings. And that's what we've achieved in the world of psychology over the last 20 years, and that's what you need to know about. And so you definitely should come along to this free webinar and find out how we do that. And then you'll be able to challenge your clients to expand their mindset that by behaving in more powerful ways than come naturally to them. I can also challenge you and ask you, in developing your own mindset, how much have you been pushing beyond your comfort zone to develop a more powerful mindset? How much have you been doing things to develop a mindset that allows you to do the kind of thing I'm doing now, speaking on videos, or allows you to do things that I do like speaking at conferences, or allows you to be more powerful in the ways in which you expand and develop your business? How much have you pushed yourself beyond your comfort zone? And have you, for example, to take just one example, if you do live or were to live near London, would you go down to Hyde Park Corner with your stepladder, stand on it, and attract an audience of 200 people and tell them about the power of coaching and tell them about how they can develop their lives? I've done that half a dozen times. And has that developed my confidence? Of course it has. Have you done that? If not, I suggest that maybe you haven't done it because you would find it a little bit fearful, make you a little bit anxious, and that would stretch you. And so I would say to you, yes, you need to find out from the world of psychology how we get people to do that, how we get people to deal with the discomfort that arises when you stretch yourself and then be able to push yourself way beyond your comfort zone in order to develop a more powerful mindset, to be more successful, to be able to speak at conferences, to be able to develop your business, and all those things. So this webinar, it can be found on my website, which is called Abicord, A-B-I-C-O-R-D. Come along to that webinar, or you can find it by putting my name, Graham Price, into Google. Add the word psychology, because that will avoid the Welsh rugby player by the same name, and come along to my free webinar and learn a great deal about powerful psychology that you can use in your work as a coach. I'm Graham W. Price.